Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Brighter podcast. My name is Chelsea.
And my name is BatSheva.
My life is definitely brighter thanks to BatSheva.
And my life is brighter thanks to Chelsea.
We started this podcast because we love to use tools and share stories and techniques that allow us to deepen our relationship not only with ourselves and our inner divine and our loved ones, but also with the world around us.
And it is our deepest desire and greatest wish that by sharing our journey, our trials, our tribulations, our challenges, and our successes, that your life too will grow brighter and brighter.
And in today's episode, we are going to be sharing with you one of our favorite tools. It is definitely I don't want to say the backbone, but it is really just like what has enabled us to have this deep, intimate relationship and level of communication and vulnerability with each other that honestly is like the deepest I've ever had. I mean, some days it's even deeper than my actual relationship with my husband.
It literally wiped the loneliness and despair that I had not quite gotten rid of ever since the collapse of my 20-year marriage a year prior to starting this technique.
It is such a sacred and safe space that we bring everything to the table, whether it is our biggest wins, our most wonderful wows, or our deepest wishes, or it's even like the stuff of the day that we somehow are able to see in such a perspective that it is a win or it does become a wow. And through looking at the different things that we are experiencing, we're actually able to reflect on where we've been and how far we've come in such a beautiful way.
So we can start by just taking a few breaths together, and then everyone can be energetically on the same page with us. How does that sound?
Perfect.
All right. So breathing in, calm, soothing, loving energy. Breathing out anything that's ready to go, let it go. Another breath, breathing in calming, soothing, loving energy. Breathing out anything that's ready to go, let it go. And now that we have arrived here together, the name of the technique that we're sharing today, we named it the Daily W's. And Chelsea, tell them you started to give a little sneak preview. What do the Daily W's stand for?
So the Daily W's stand for wins, wows, and wishes. And so each day we communicate with each other through voice text, our 3 wins of the day, our 3 wows of the day, and our 3 wishes of the day. And then the other person responds back to us, responds back to the other, and just to really sees them and validates them and witnesses them and provides, it's not like we're providing a lot of advice. I mean, there's an occasional, this is what's worked for me, or have you thought about this? But it's really more so just an opportunity to share what's going on in your life, share what you're feeling, share where you are, and just being 100% real, raw, and honest.
And doing that with you, having that exchange, it's a daily exchange that we've only missed like a handful of days when you got married and went on your honeymoon, basically, or when you were on a cruise and you didn't have cellular service. You and I have been so dedicated to this and we need to give everyone the background how we discovered and developed this technique. It was not out of thin air, but before we share that with everyone, just the practice of this Daily W technique together has been so life transforming that I actually turned around and started offering it as a part of my coaching, actually the foundational tool of my coaching method with clients, because I personally experienced the most miraculous and deep transformation from that exchange with you. And it did have to do with you being who you are and our relationship. But most of all, like you said, it was the fact that we both showed up to the table willing to just witness each other without, not only without judgment, but just with full love, support, compassion. And like you mentioned in the beginning, we're so honest with each other. I mean, we share secrets and things that we experience throughout the day, both good and bad, although it's wins, wows, and wishes, even the most painful and tough, difficult situations that we experience, we share them because it's a daily exchange. And then the other person just like absorbs it and just shoots back love and care and compassion. And just having had that, whereas I didn't even have very many friends over these past couple years after the divorce, it's been everything for me. It's really been everything for me. And it's allowing me to give back to my clients or to friends. This technique, I mean, it works miracles. I've seen it with clients. I saw it with myself. I think you've experienced it too.
100% I have. And what really just came to my mind was this quote that I have heard throughout all the different facilitator trainings and different programs I've been in and techniques and modalities I've learned about. One of the things that has stuck with me is that healing happens in the presence of an empathetic witness. And I feel like that is exactly what we are to one another, that we are just there, we're witnessing each other, we're loving and accepting each other, and we're not trying to fix each other. We're not saying like, oh, something is wrong with you because you're going through this. It's just like, this is life. Things come up. We're here to have this human experience, and that is the highs and the lows, just like the heartbeat. There's the up and the lower. And, we're just living and experiencing and feeling all of that because that's what being alive is. It's feeling the whole spectrum of emotions because you can't know hot if you don't know cold. Just like you can't know beauty and pleasure if you don't know pain and disaster.
And speaking of pleasure, the whole way that this technique got started was because if you guys heard our first episode, you know that we spent 2 hours in the car together, 2.5 hours on the way to this 10-day silent retreat that we talk about in our first episode. And the 2.5 hours on the way back. And Chelsea shared with me this book that had such a deep impact on her. And I remember thinking, what in the world? I barely knew her. And she's saying, oh, you guys have to read this book. It's called Pussy, a Reclamation. And I'm like, okay, girl. I was like, yeah, okay, pussy. Like, that's not a word I'm that comfortable saying out loud. More so now, by the way, after I read and loved the book. But at the time, I was just actually really curious. And also, I thought it was just really hilarious. Like, I was intrigued. Let's put it that way. I was intrigued enough that I looked for the book at the local bookstore, the huge bookstore in Pasadena, this famous bookstore. They didn't fucking have it. I was like, you need to get this pussy book. And then I was, I left and I ordered it on Amazon and I got the audio, which was actually amazing because the author, Regina Thomas Hauer, Mama Gina, who I had never heard of, apparently, like she's been around for quite a while. She reads it. And so just listening to her story, because it's kind of like half memoir, half manifesto, it was one of the transformational foundational tools and modalities and books of this period of my life where I went from one level of living to this much enhanced, expanded, more amazing level that I'm at now. That was one of the foundational books.
Yes, I can remember. I don't think I was actually through the book yet. I was just like getting into it whenever I mentioned it to you because what I say that is because later on in the book is when this exercise comes in. And Mama Gina calls it the Holy Trinity. And it's an exchange where you find a sister goddess to share the exchange with. And I remember asking BatSheva to be my sister goddess and to share this exchange. And I had no idea that this would evolve and become a multi-year thing that we've been doing. And if you could only imagine, I mean, I'm not a phone person per se. I don't spend a lot of time talking on the phone. My mother loves to talk on the phone, and I am literally kind of the person that's like, tell me what you need to tell me. Let's get it out and let's get off here. I got other things to do. And for me to be able to be talking to someone every single day, that is for sure the deepest relationship. I mean, Hunter and I live together, and sometimes we don't even share that much, especially depending on what's gone on that day. Who knows? Maybe one of us is already asleep whenever the other one gets home. But the beauty also is that we record it whenever it's convenient for us. And then the other person listens to it whenever it's convenient for them. And it's just such an incredible exchange, our daily dubs, as we like to refer to it.
And we leave a reply for the person. That was something we developed because I think in Mama Gina's version, she suggested either on the phone or in person, you're sharing 3 things you brag about, 3 things you're grateful for, and then 3 desires. And so when I was developing a coaching program and Chelsea was working with me and helping me, I had this whole image of a W method. And I was like, Chelsea, can we just make it the daily W's, 3 wins, 3 wows, 3 wishes? And she was like, definitely. And so together we kind of pivoted. And when you learn a tool, a spiritual tool, and you make it your own, like a meditation technique that then you bring yourself to the table. I would say in this case, Chelsea, you and I, we really brought ourselves to this technique. We used the audio voice text, the audio voice reply. And in doing that, it is so safe because you're not live, but you're being heard without interruption. And then for me to be able to reply to you or to hear your reply, it's like so comforting. You just feel completely encompassed and loved and cradled and seen and heard. And it's not like every single, reply is like the next, greatest thing to Christmas, but it builds. It builds day after day after day. You're being seen, you're being heard, and you're also getting to do that for someone else. And you find your own time in your own windows. I find I look forward to it. I actually I miss it when if you oversleep or, you're running late I look forward to hearing your daily W's. And I remember towards the beginning, I used to say sometimes to you during the recording, oh, this is stupid, or I don't know if I'm talking too much, if I'm boring you. And it took you several replies to say, no, I love hearing your stories. No, I want to hear more, for me to relax and just, okay, I'm just going to share with you what the fuck is going on with my day, good and bad. But within the structure of the 3 wins, 3 wows, 3 wishes, it's beautiful because it's the structure that allows you to view your day in that way, but also not lose track of what's working in life and what you wish for. I don't know. It's very special, very magical.
I would totally agree. And I also want to add to it that for me, it has also given me the permission to take up more space. I kind of, sometimes I feel like I was rushing through it because it was like, oh, I don't want this to be too long for her. I'm not trying to take up this much space in someone's life. I don't want to be an inconvenience. And then the artist and writer and screenplay journalist and actress that BatSheva is, she just wants to hear the story. She loves the story. And so whenever I do go into detail, I'm praised for it. And I love that. It makes me feel so much more valued, I guess, and just appreciated for just being me. So the other thing that I really love about it is that as we're sharing, even these things that are not maybe going the way we had planned in our day or that are bringing up challenges, it gives us the opportunity to say, this is what's happened. This is kind of the havoc it's wreaked. And the win in the situation is this, and the wow in the situation is this. So it actually allows me to look at this difficult, challenging thing that maybe doesn't feel that good and find the little jewel, the little treasure that's buried in there. Because not always are we looking for that. We're looking for what is that most pleasurable thing that happened today, or just like all the highs, highs, highs. But that's not what life is. Life is full of all the things. And so being able to look at the other things that maybe aren't exactly as you had planned or aren't exactly as you had envisioned, and being able to see the lesson or the beauty or the gift that's inside of it is really a huge transformative thing for me.
I could not agree more, because the one important distinction when we're sharing this tool, the Daily W's, it's not to do what Chelsea mentioned, which is to whitewash or to spiritual bypass, is the term some people use, where you just everything's great and affirmations and I'm going to have all the gratitude and that way I'll bring all the blessings to me. But meanwhile, we have these real emotions and shit going on inside of us that if we don't acknowledge, address, and share, it's going to interrupt the flow of all the blessings anyway. So we might as well just be real with everything. And I really appreciated that from the beginning and early on, you and I only encouraged each other to leave the most raw and real Daily W. And within the tough days and even the horrifying days, still we would find a real and true and authentic win or wow. And then with the wish, we would really hold space for each other and wish along with, with the other.
And yeah, and not only just wish, like, hear that person's wish, but sometimes we even back that wish up. We're like, yes, I'm wishing for you. I'm bringing you into this. And I'm saying, I'm going to give you one of my wishes. It's like we have our own little genie of the day. And we're saying, I love you this much. Like, I'm going to give you one of these wishes because, like, I feel you and I see you. And that is such a beautiful gift, because sometimes we can want so many things for ourselves. And not to say that that's not okay, but to be able to see someone else that you love and like to wish for them. Or I know sometimes you, BatSheva, like just like the gratitude for your kids or the wishing for your kids for whatever it is that they're going through, wishing those things for them is also really, really special.
And I would say to our listeners, if you're curious about this technique, there's a couple of ways you can go about it. You ideally could find a partner or somebody who will try it with you. I think there is something really special about having someone who has the same level of commitment as you, and you leave the audio text and every day with 3 wins, 3 wows, 3 wishes for each other. On the other hand, you can use voice journaling, your voice memo app in your phone. When Chelsea went on her wedding and honeymoon, and I found myself like really missing the technique, the benefits of it, I did it for myself. I left them for myself on my voice memo and I listened to them. And you know what? It was fucking awesome. Like, it was actually amazing, because what I thought about later, I was putting myself in the position of being my own best friend and witness. And it was kind of transcendent and gorgeous. And I felt very grateful to have had that experience too, because now I know even by ourselves, this technique is powerful and it's a way to become your own beloved. I mean, how many techniques out there really allow for that? Very few. So I would really recommend you try it with a friend, with a coach, or by yourself, and, really see how it works for you. It works magic.
Yes. And I think even on top of that, too, I know that another technique that you use in your coaching is where you have people write letters, I think it is, to God or goddess or the above, and then respond to those letters. So if you're someone that's doing it, say on your own, you record your own and then you listen to it and then you respond back as a loving witness to yourself. Like, as, you can respond back as God, or you can respond back just as you being your own best friend. Because I know BatSheva and I kind of do it a little different. She always has her replies and her daily dubs separate because she does listen back to hers a lot of the times. Mine are just kind of here and there. Maybe if I'm going to be super long-winded, then I'll make sure I divide them up. Or if I'm responding at one time and I already left the dubs, then they'll be separate. But it just kind of depends with me. But just like that, even that technique, leaving it for yourself and then being able to come back and see where you were a month ago or 6 months ago or however long ago. I know that we've both thought about like, oh my gosh, can you believe whenever we were wishing, like this was in our wish for like every day for like a month. And then finally something changed. And then you're just like, so like, wow, like, or you look back at where you just see your journey and it's really kind of documented through the voice journaling.
I always think like someday it would be insane to have our daily dubs, for posterity. I mean, it's almost like an art installation because it's so raw, it's so real, it's so beautiful, it's so human. And exactly as Chelsea said, I'm telling you, there is magic in the daily W's because wish after wish after wish, it could take time, it could take months, but our wishes keep coming true. I can only just share what I've experienced in the hopes that other people will have similar incredible results. I highly, highly recommend it.
Also, one other thing I just want to point out about Mama Gina's book, because I think it's so funny and also pretty deep. One of the things that Mama Gina shares in the book is about connecting to yourself through pleasure and sharing with another woman about having the time to give yourself an orgasm and that being a win. Like that's taken the relationship to a whole nother level. So,
girl, yes, yes, and yes. And this is important. And I'm glad you brought it up because this is the kind of secret, private information that Chelsea and I are just like, she's like, I had some hot sex this morning. And I'm like, I am so happy for her. And it's just loving our bodies more and more, learning to get and give ourselves pleasure. What else is life all about?
play. That's one of the reasons why we're here.
And connection with others. Absolutely.
Couldn't agree more. Should
And with
we give them
ourselves. And connection with ourselves.
Exactly. Yes. Shall we give them an example of the dubs?
Let's give one, and one. I think or let's give, maybe you and I can give a quick example. Like you do a win, I'll do a wow, and then we can each do a wish. How about that?
My win for so far today, it is just the afternoon, so we're only at 2:30 in my time. But my first win of the day is that I had an incredible meeting with this other woman, badass entrepreneur, and we shared basically our whole life story, or essentially, I think from college on, we shared exactly what our journey has been and where we are now and where our businesses are going. And it was just really amazing. Anytime I can get that connection with somebody one-on-one and really just like lay it out there, like this is who I am, this is how I am here doing what I'm doing, this is why I want to do it. And then for them to be able to do the same thing, it's just incredible. And so just having that meeting was a huge win for me today.
Love it. And let's see, I'll offer one of my wows already today. I did make it to Tai Chi this morning, and then I had my chiropractor session. And I am very, very grateful for these beautiful healers in my life. The 81-year-old woman who teaches my Tai Chi class, who leads the Tai Chi for free, and the incredibly gifted man who is the chiropractor in the same building. I'm so lucky to know these people and to be guided by them and healed by them. So that's my wow. It's my first wow.
Okay, and I'll give a wish. So my wish for the rest of the day is that I'm just wishing for flow. I have a few tasks to do, a few errands to run, if you will. And then I'm also helping my husband with putting up some Christmas lights. And I'm just wishing for flow and ease of all those things, be that the post office line, the Christmas lights, all of it. May it all just be flowy and feel good.
Love it. I will put out one wish as well, which is for this podcast to reach as wide of amount of people as possible, to help other people to feel comforted, to feel loved, to feel seen and heard, and to help others transform their own lives in the most wonderful ways. That would be one of my wishes for today.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. Thank you all for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you on our next episode.
May your day be brighter.